Larja agus Falsharov Gaji bout the Canish na Heron and Shaw a Galarnia a Austin Glen Eagles the Scór. Every year we see from October to April hundreds of people throughout the country preparing for this momentous occasion, the All-Ireland final. Without any further ado, I want to hand you over to our Banatee for this evening, Catherine Niel.
Gurma Gwyf Galer, Buil the Quist Scór Náisiúnta, Buil the Quist Scór Cunta, agus a Gwini Ushla. Bwalum Kids Mila Falcher over Kurd Riv Gakenian Shaw and Yugo Killarna, Ego Crave na Hair and Scór Sínsear Dun Vleen Gavi Logs a Shea. Querim Falta Special to Riv Nadini Golera Tai go all parts and the Comorta She, Ags Dun the Multori Freshen. Tasulagum Gwinning Shift Celtugs Tanavox and Thranona Golere. I'd like to introduce Michelle O'Callaghan. Michelle is the All-Ireland Scór na Nóg Junior winner in 2006 in the Arani Octainer, and Michelle will sing Arana Veen for us. So Bullabus Moorda, Michelle O'Callaghan from Glenflask here in Killarney.
Shane Fina fall at Hoffia Legere Wind our slew Harty in the Ronny Hui Favod Veser Shantir Ashin Sherfasta Niog for Fintiro no Fintrol and up to him Savarnavale Leganer Gwilchan Bosch Nusel Legan Ishgreg Fwilavug Nabiler Shalif Kanig Aron Navi.
Gurv Mahagot Michelle. And now for everybody here, you're all very familiar, I'm sure, with the formation for Scór. So without any further ado, on Cade Comortis, Rincaforna and our Cade group are from Tyrone, from St. Enda's in Omagh. And they're going to dance the 8-hand reel. So Nevena in Omagh, Kunta Tyrone with the 8-hand reel. Gurmaha Gwif Minchers Neve no Oma. Anish Rockmidrai Gudi Irvi, Gudi Mullinkar, August na Shamrogi, and they will dance Trip to the Cottage. So Bulabus Murda, Mullinkar, na Shamrogi, or Kunta na Irvi with Trip to the Cottage. Car and an ish lead from Glencar Manor Hamilton to dance the cross reel. So Bulabus moored the Glencar Manor Hamilton from Kunta Leitrim with the cross reel. When they're a coalition Rincaforna, the local group here from Glenflesk and Keary, Killarney, and they'll dance Trip to the Cottage. So I don't have to ask for a bowl of bus more for the local group from Glenflesk and Killarney with Trip to the Cottage. Gurma goibh na Colleen o Glenflesk an Shohi Killarney. Sin deir leis an Rincaforna, agus níos rock míid right go dtí an céad comórta eile on Aráníocht Déanaar solo singing. Our first competitor comes from Cultaport Loriga, from Dunhill. Mairead ní Vorga, Margaret Moore, and Mairead will sing Ellis Island. So Burla Bus Moore, the Mairead ní Vorga from Dunhill in Cunta, Port Lorrigan.
On the first day of January 1892, they opened Ellis Island and they let the people through. And the first to cross the threshold of that Isle of Hope and Tears was Annie Moore from Ireland, who was only 15 years. Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears, Isle of Freedom, Isle of Fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That Isle of Hunger, Isle of Pain, Isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of Home is always on your mind. In a little bag she carried all her past and history, and her dreams for the future in the land of liberty. And courage is your passport when your old world disappears, and there's no future in the past when you're 15 years. Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears, Isle of Freedom, Isle of Fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That Isle of Hunger, Isle of Pain, Isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of Home is always on your mind. When they closed down Ellis Island in 1943, 17 million people had come there for sanctuary. And in springtime when I came there and I stepped onto its piers, I thought of how it must have been when you're 15 years. Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears, Isle of Freedom, Isle of Fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That Isle of Hunger, Isle of Pain, Isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of Home is always on your mind. Yes, the Isle of Home is always on your mind.
Agus inis ó St. Enda's in Oma, Cunta Tyrone, Keelan ní Convilla, and Keelan will sing The Plains of Waterloo. So Bula Busmore, the Keelan ní Concilla o Nevena in Oma in Cúta Tyrone with The Plains of Waterloo.
One fine summer's morning as I went a-walking all down by the banks of a clear flowing stream, there I spied a fair maiden making sad lamentation. So I drew myself in ambush for to hear her sad refrain. O'er the woods she marched along, made the valleys to ring, oh, while the small feathered songsters around her head they flew, saying the war 'tis all over and peace is returning. But my Willie's not returning from the plains of Waterloo. I approached this young maiden and said, my fond creature, well, may I make inquiry as to what's your true love's name? For I have been in battle where the loud cannons rattle, and by his description, well, I think I know the same. Willie Riley's my love's name, he's a hero of great fame. Although he's gone and left me in my sorrow now to strew, and no man will I enjoy but my own darling boy, although he's not returning from the plains of Waterloo. If Willie Riley's your love's name, then he's a hero of great fame. He and I have been in battle throughout many's a long campaign. Through Italy and Russia, through Germany and Prussia, he was my loyal comrade in France and in Spain. But alas, there at length by the French we were surrounded, and like heroes of old we did them subdue. And we fought for 3 days till at last we defeated him, that bold Napoleon Boney on the plains of Waterloo. On the 14th of June it been ending the battle, leaving many's a gallant hero in sorrow to complain. Where the drums they do beat and the loud cannons rattle, 'twas by a Frenchman's bullet your young Willie he was slain. And as I drew near to the spot he lay a-bleeding, well, I scarcely had time to bid him adieu. And as he lay dying, these words he kept repeating: farewell, my lovely Annie, you are far from Waterloo. When the maiden she heard all this sad declaration, her red rosy cheeks grew pale and woeful wan. And when he heard the sound of her sad lamentation, he drew her in his arms and said, I am your loving one. Oh, see, here is a ring that between the midst of all danger, it reminded me of you. And at last this young couple, they are reunited. No more will Willie battle on the plains of Waterloo. Gormelkaf.
Rockamid Raiganish Godin Nadunta Ikunta Nahir V. Jenny McNamee, and Jenny will sing Arairn ni Osam Kehi. So Sinead Macan V on Nadunta Ikunta Nahir V with Arairn ni Osam Kehi.
Araris made here now, Erant here and your nami, though here me ganspiran Daction rak procelaction Dogelis domenis doclo is the main nami folk arm creed is the verin fui ein na throw is there Aaron Nino Sven Gay Daniel Figan Spirandan Glor said right Shemaviola Vec fear Go even date Gonyen fan and snow Do lekker I gjoris I grik Do lik fingoler stardom stor Is the main nami fogarm creed Is the veren fui ein na throw Is there Aaron Nino Sven Cahir Tasper when Elmwergam Welo Aaron Hayfeld and Tjor Hanami Ta fila is they not na snow Ishtesheg jasmionins namni Talik fingoler stardom stor Is the main nami fogarm creek Is the veren marlek and maros Is there Aaron Nino Sven Cahir Akurer is made here navum noin Aaron Hayfeld and Tjor Hanamin Daniel Figan Spiran and Kor Station rak procelaction Dolik fingoler stardom stor Is the main nami folk arm creed Is the veren fui ein
Agus Condera Coalition Aurani Octainer, O na Piercig I Galif, Sinead Nick Gilla Kiani, and Sinead will sing The Banks of My Own Lovely Lee. So
When two lovers meet down beside young green bower, when two lovers meet down beneath the young green tree, when Mary, fond Mary, declared unto her lover, you have stolen my poor heart from the banks of the Lee. I loved her very dearly, so true and sincerely. There was no one in this wide world I love better than she. Every bush and every bower, every sweet Irish flower reminds me of my Mary on the banks of the Lee. Don't stay out late, love, on the moorlands, my Mary. Don't stay out late, love, on the moorlands from me. How little was our notion when we parted by the ocean, that we were forever parting from the banks of the Lee. I will pluck her some roses, some blooming Irish roses. I will pluck her some roses, the fairest ever grew, and I'd lay them on the grave of my own true lovely Mary. In that cold and silent churchyard, where she sleeps 'neath the dew, I loved her very dearly, so true and sincerely. There was no one in this wide world I love better than she. Every bush and every bower, every blooming Irish flower reminds me of my Mary on the banks of the Lee. Garmagi.
Gormagat Sinead, Shinder Election Aurani Octainer, and now Rockame the Raika the Yankiol Urlisha. The first group tonight is from Eastern Harps in Sligo, representing Connacht, and they'll play two jigs, Willie Coleman and McHugh's, and a reel, the Blackberry Blossom. So Bula Bus Moor, the Eastern Harps o Kunta Schlegach. Gorma with Eastern Harps from Sligo. Anish Rockamade Right Goody, Kuntalimina Goody Ahan, and the group from Ahan will play The Boys of the Loch, a jig, and two reels, Hunter's House and Rip the Calico. So Bulabus Murdo Ahan o Kuntalimina. Agwe Vahan o Kunta Limini. Agus an Ishrock mid right good the Ard Vaca, Mullabon, Kunta Ard Vaca. And they will play Barry's Jig and two reel Sporting Paddy and Bass Face. Gurma Gwif Wincher Ardvaca. Agus Anish Kandera Kurlesh and Kjol Urlisha, Obalia Clea, Aaron's Hope, and they will play Bobby Casey's Jig and two reels, The Chattering Magpie and George White's favourite. Agus Anish rock me the raigadi an Cairn Cavorta Sella on Ahrish Oracht. Agus an Cade Umroor Tagan sé o Balia Clea o Castleknock, Richard o Brainon. And Richard will recite a piece called Chantel de Champignon Le Breen O'Rourke. So Bullabus Moore, the Richard O'Brennan, Richard Brennan from Castleknock in Malya.
One night in a bar, I was having a jar when my destiny it beckoned. When a vision burst in on top of my thirst and flattened my pint in a second. Oh, she was a beauty fair with long blonde hair, and her looks dead shame all queens, with her glistening lips and her twisting hips and her slim-fitting Levi jeans. I got off of me stool, observed me first rule, and I checked myself and my Fanya. and I got ready for a story of glitter and glory like that of Diarmid agus Grania. Well, my opening line was, "How are you, sunshine? How are you going? My name is John." And with that toss of her head, this goddess said, "I'm Chantal de Champignon." Well, begod, I says, you're well-bred. I mean, you're operatic, aristocratic, and, very aromatic. So tell us, what's you having? Well, be the furrow on her brow. I could see just how she was torn between a short and a long. "I'll have an Irish coffee and a glass of Murphy's," said Chantal de Champignon. You see, boys, she'd been scouting around, and as yet she'd not found any cavemen looking for scalps. Didn't she scale the peaks of Kildare and Leaks? But ere they left her homesick for the Alps, she'd seen nearly all of Donegal and learned sláinte, slán agus bannacht, till some racial purist who couldn't stand tourists told her to go to hell or to Connacht. So here she lands with a week on her hands, and boys, I saw me chance. You see, she'd like to see Galway and Mayo before heading back for France. I says, "I'm your man. I have a high-ace van, and I've nothing to do just now. Sure, the 5-acre farm, it'll come to no harm. Sure, the calf can milk the cow." So to hell with the silage. Let's clock up some mileage. You'll be safe as with your daddy. She says, "I like you more than I did before. I'll have a Smithix and the paddy." Well, next day we drove through creek and cove all along the western seaboard. And the music of her voice, it was twice as nice as the notes on any keyboard. For example, "Oh, Jean, you really fill up my senses. I can see in your eyes all the stars in the skies shining out through your contact lenses." Well, I pulled up the van and she said, "Jean, please do not take this amiss." Says I, "That's not you'll find what I had in mind. Sure, all I wanted was a kiss." Well, her hair shone bright, and her teeth gleamed white, and her breath, it smelt of garlic. But she tore into me lips like fish and chips in the shadows of Croagh-Patrick. Well, next day we drove to the smoke, and these words she spoke before hitting on the Boeing. "I'll tell my parents of what's transpired, and my paltry possessions I'll pack, and then I'll return on wings of desire, and you I'll marry, mon Jacques." Well, for 6 days or 7, I thought I was in heaven. Sure, I was trying the suit for size. But like every other lover, I was soon to discover it was an Amadon's paradise. Because while I was singing Chantal, the kingdom hallelujah, your one was beating a different drum, singing Johnny, I hardly knew ya. And then when I thought things couldn't get better, from France I received this letter. "Dear Jean, please sit on the sofa. I have got some news that will give you the blues. In a nutshell, chérie, it's over." On the plane coming back, I was told for a fact by a man who was once your friend that you spent 2 years in the loony bin without the marbles round the bend. I got off that plane, my parents I met, and they told me the line I must draw at the thoughts of having a middle-aged header for a son-in-law. So come all ye middle-aged Irish headers now, and a warning take by me. Be very careful when you go for a pint in your local hostelry. Observe your first rule, lads, stay up on your stool, and for God's sake, don't be stupid. Give your number 1 to whiskey and rum, and don't give e'er a vote to Cupid. And if, perchance, some goddess from France with luminous long blonde hair lights up your horizon by stick to your poison in 2 simple words, beware. Give no overtures, no misguided tours, because I'm telling you, Diarmid agus Grania went wrong. Because for all your mileage, she'll leave you sitting in your silage like Chantal de Champignon. Thank you.
Gurma got Richard Brennan o Balliach Lee. Agus inis o Barnacoola I Cúnta Leitrim Aidan o Dockery, and Aidan is going to recite a piece called Kilkelly, Ireland. So Aidan Dockery from Barnacoola in Leitrim with Kilkelly, Ireland.
In the aftermath of the worst famine in Irish history, 1845 to 1847, in the midst of a panorama of unimaginable horror, and driven by a tempest of fears and uncertain hopes, vast numbers of Irish streamed to the ports and the ships to America, and lives of certain separation. On the night before departure, family and friends would meet for an American wake or live wake. It was a wake in every sense of the word, for in those days there was little difference between going to the grave or going to America. A return voyage was beyond dreaming. The poet and songwriter Peter Jones wrote these lines after he had come across a bundle of old letters in the attic of his parents' house in Washington, D.C. The letters had come from the home of his great-grandfather, John Coyne, in Kilkelly, County Mayo. The first was dated 1860 and addressed to my dear and loving son, John. Your good friend, the schoolmaster, Pat McNamara, was so good for to write these words down. Your brothers have all gone to find work in England. The house is so empty and sad. The crop of potatoes is sorely infected, a third to a half of them bad. And your sister Bridget and Patrick O'Donnell, they're going to be married in June. Your mother says not to work on the railroad and be sure to come on home soon. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1870. My dear and loving son, John. Hello to your missus and to your 4 children. May they grow up healthy and strong. Michael has got himself in a wee bit of trouble. I suppose that he never will learn. And because of the dampness, there's no turf to speak of. And now we have nothing to burn. Bridget is happy you've named the child for her. You know, she's got 6 of her own. You say you found work, but you don't say what kind or when you'll be coming home. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1880. Dear Michael and John, my sons. I'm sorry to give you the very sad news that your dear old mother has passed on. We buried her down at the church in Kilkelly. Your brothers and Bridget were there. You don't have to worry because she died very quickly. Just remember her in your prayers. And it's good to hear that Michael's returning with money. He's sure to buy land, for the crop has been poor and the people are selling it any price that they can. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1890. My dear and loving son, John. I suppose I must be close on to 80. It's over 30 years now since you've gone. And because of all the money you've sent me, I'm still living out on my own. Michael has built himself a fine house, and Bridget's daughters are grown. And thank you for sending your family picture. They're lovely young women and men. You say you might even come for a visit. What joy it would be to see you again. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1892. My dear brother John. I'm sorry I didn't write sooner to tell you that Father has passed on. He was living with Bridget, She said he was cheerful and healthy right down to the end. You should have seen him playing with the little grandchildren of Pat McNamara, your old friend. We buried him alongside of Mother down at the Kilkelly churchyard. He was a strong and a feisty old man, considering his life was so hard. And it's funny, he kept talking about you. He even called for you at the end. Why don't you think about paying a visit? We'd all love to see you again. 29 years later, in October 1921, John Coyne Jr. died without ever having returned home. Gur míle maith agaibh.
Gurv Margot Aiden. Agus anish go limanig go Fina Kilmeedy. Christor O'Kelly, Christy Kelly from Fina Kilmeedy in County with a piece called The Betrayal, which is written by himself. And just to set the scene for you, they're the thoughts of an old man as he waits to be transported by his son to an old folks' home. So Bula Bus Mór anish though Christy Kelly from Fina Kilmeedy.
Do you see that house behind me? That's where I was born and reared. I saw my father, my grandfather, and my lovely young wife. They were all brought out through that door when they died. To die in our own home with our family around us, it is all any of us can hope to aspire to. But that won't happen to me. No, you see, my family, my 10 children that I reared on my own ever since their mother died, they have now decided it is time I moved in to an old folks' home. Son, what did I do to deserve this betrayal? I was always there when you needed me. Do you remember the time you were sick with fever? I sat by your bedside and I tended your every need, and food nor sleep would not deter me from watching over you, and my prayers assailed heaven for your recovery. When many around me were going out to card games and going out to hurling matches, I stayed at home with you and your brothers and sisters because ye needed me, and wild horses would not drag me away from my responsibilities. Love is for today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, just today. Oh, it's easy to fantasize love. You all like to read books with good endings. You cry at love stories on TV. But when it comes to your own love stories, ye seem to have hearts of stone. You're becoming spectator lovers, observers rather than participants. Oh, yes, and when I will have done ye the great favour and died, then ye can become nostalgic lovers. Won't you love me, son, today, as I loved you and still do? Love me with all my weaknesses and all my failings. Don't betray me like Judas with a kiss, and dump me because I am no longer any use to you, like a child with a broken toy who dumps it into a box with other disused old toys. I don't want to end my days with clean antiseptic professionals who care but cannot love. I would rather end my days in poverty with my loved ones than live for years in a clean antiseptic nursing home, because, son, it is anything but home. My only crime in life is I got old and weak, and I need you now as you once needed me. Don't leave me, son, with strangers. It would be kinder to shoot me than I to die each day from the wounds of not being loved. Judas did it for 30 pieces of silver. What did you do it for? More time to yourself, more time to go on these foreign holidays, or maybe more time to go off playing golf. Don't fool yourself with the notion, sure, it is best for everyone. Well, everyone doesn't include me. Put yourself in my place, son, and honestly ask yourself, would you like your children to do the same to you someday? How do you think I'll feel alone in my room at night with no one to talk to or no one to discuss the happenings of the day? Or in the evening time when my grandchildren will be coming home from school and I won't be there to say, well, how did you get on at school today? And you won't be there, son, or their mother won't be there. No, you'll be away working. But remember this, money can build a house, but only love can make a home. How is it that when your mother died and left me with 10 small children, I, one man, was able to look after, care for, and provide for all 10 of you on my own? And now, 10 of ye, my own children, cannot look after one old man. Don't do it to me, son. Don't turn me away from my own door. After all, my only crime in life is I got old and weak. For God's sake, son, don't betray your father.
Agus Kundera Coronish leis an ahra seoracht ó Cúnta Cabhán, Coran na Féin, Micheál Mac Gibna, and Micheál is going to do a piece called Doing the Double. So Bula Bus Murda, Micheál Mac Gibna, ó Coran na Féin é Cúnta Cabhán.
This story I tell from this cowl prison cell, put here on the word of a spy. Me stomach churns with disgust, it's unfair and unjust, as I reflect with some tears and I say, from the day I left school, I worked like a mule. I was out in all kinds of weather. For 6 days a week I drove a shovel and pick. Any wonder me hands is like leather. I tell you no lies, I was a great man to raise. I'd be up before the alarm, out the door at cock crow, come hail, rain or snow, with me biscuit tin under me arm. But in this day and age, it takes more than one wage to keep a man's head above water. So on a Tuesday at 2, I'd sign on to the brew, and back to me work I would dodder. Now myself and the missus, we were past hugs and kisses, but we were happy as cats at the cream. I was partial to stout, so I'd like to get out and come home on a full head of steam. And if she got to her bingo and whist, that kept her in good twist. She never made much of a fuss. She'd squeeze into her stays, put on an assortment of sprays, and get out and jump onto the bus. Well, now our luck took a turn for the worse when the wife lost her purse. One day she was shopping in town. Oh, she went for the priest and she went to the police. But of course, it couldn't be found. And things didn't get any better when there come a brown letter on a day when no gyro was due. Oh, Holy Mother of God, it's from the Bomb Bridge Fraud Squad. Oh, cripes have been catched on the brew. I turned white as a ghost and he choked on me toast as I spluttered and splattered and sput. Me head was rattling and reeling. I doubt somebody's squealing. You'd think they could keep their mouth shut. Yon old Scabby McCoy, he's an old-fashioned boy. I'd say it was him that was talking. Him sitting up pulling gobs round the bookies and pubs, listening and juking and gawking. Well, they called me into Armagh to meet a Mr. McGrath, who took down me name and details. Then he just smiled like a child and said, "I'll just get your file." So I sat there chawing me nails. After a short time elapsed, he came back with some snaps. Says he, "Isn't that you with the jackhammer? Here you are shoveling stones, here you're putting down cones." So I started to splutter and stammer. "Oh, what happens next? What way am I fixed? Does this all mean that I'm barred?" "Oh yes, your benefits will cease. We'll send these files to the police, which they'll treat with the strictest regard." But I wouldn't hold up much hope, for you're on a short rope. The evidence is conclusive and ample. To me it's quite clear, Mr. E.G. McAteer, of you they'll make an example. Well, me worst fears were installed when the court it was called, and the judge he called me a dull dodger. "We are paying our taxes for your wife's wristwatches. You're a scoundrel, a thief, and a codger. Among your sort of folk, this is some sort of joke. I believe they call it doing the double. Well, I don't find it that funny stealing taxpayers' money, so I'll give you 6 months for your trouble." Well, as I emptied me po, I was feeling quite low. As the lights went out for the night, I looked out through me bars and up at the stars, and laid back and considered me plight. Me cellmate was Jared. He was a boy with a beard. He was in for killing his wife. She was always whinging and yapping and snarling and snapping. He was living a miserable life. So on his way out to Mass, he turned on the gas, 'cause he knew she was fond of a fag. And as he went in through the gates, she went out through the slates. And of course, tongues, they started to wag. When he was questioned and grilled, the beans they were spilled, he agreed that he twisted the knob. Oh, now that she's dead as a stone, she's moaned her last moan. "I think," says he, "I done a very good job." Well, during me time in the clink, me health has started to sink, and me back's just riddled with pains. As me time draws to a close, I've had me highs and me lows, but I'm going to start using me brains. I'm fit for no heavy toil. I think it's time to uncoil and hang up me shovel and pick. So I've lined up a nice handy job up in Ballymacnob, and I'm going to sign on to the sick. Thank you.
Garvma got me all. Shindera leis na Harishorucht, and now we'll move along to the ballad groups. And our first ballad group comes from St. Enda's in Oman, County Tyrone. And they're going to do 2 songs. The first one, "The Town of My Youth," and the second one, "Cahan."
Spire overlooking the town of my youth. Long ago it seemed from all around of moral sound in God and in Ireland once again. It is crowned by the green fields of Corradina. Its houses like like jewels they shine in the beauty of the early morning sun, shining down on the town of my youth. The church bells ring often with joy in beholding the birth of a new child, born to believe in a love of unity, without violence, with joy, without anger, without fear. It is crowned by the green fields of Coradina, its houses like jewels they shine in the beauty of the early morning sun, shining down on the town of my youth. So goodbye to Oma, its people I'll treasure. I will dream of you often when I go away. I hope you'll be the same and never change when I return someday. It is crowned by the green fields of Coradina, its houses like jewels they shine in the beauty of the early morning sun, shining down on the town of my youth.
Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Mo, Kana Dugga, Mitcha, Hela, Rish. Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Fanny, Marin, Lads, Fanny, Make a Gilish.
Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Mo, Kana Dugga, Mitcha, Hela, Rish. Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Fanny, Marin, Lads, Fanny, Make a Gilish.
Tansberg kan oss med hela tallriken och flum och slit med hippo marvi shit be tanti jiggling this try marvi knock me out like to make it tussle in my hair.
Oh, oh, Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Mo, Kana Dugga, Mitcha, Hela, Rish. Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Fanny, Marin, Lads, Fanny, Make a Gilish. Bram go well to this never and more bram months bram too bad. Bram go well to this never months better kind of she made a boolerish. Oh, oh, Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Mo, Kana Dugga, Mitcha, Hela, Rish. Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Fanny, Marin, Lads, Fanny, Make a Gilish. Flecken made a hood and a ring logi, Clushin made a guy over snake and a lee. Flecken made a bore of when you get some tea, and bore at a hot dude and a little hair.
Kainiak to Kainiak to
Kainiak to Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Mo, Kana Dugga, Mitcha, Hela, Rish. Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Fanny, Marin, Lads, Fanny, Make a Gilish. Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Mo, Kana Dugga, Mitcha, Hela, Rish. Kainiak to Walia, Hugga, Fanny, Marin, Lads, Fanny, Make a Gilish. Oh, 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 Kainiak to Walia, wire hug a mo can I dug a mush a halerish Kainiac to wire hug a paddy mare laws Bonnie make a chilish Kainiac to wire hug a mo can I dug a mush a halerish Kainiac to wire hug a paddy mare laws Bonnie make a chilish
Gurmagriv St. Enda's from Oma, and Anish O'Loch Gorman St. James's, and they will do two songs, Molly Nagook Ní Quilligan and The Darling Girl from Clare's.
Sitting on the wall upon a Sunday to watch the girls go by, thinking we'd be married to one day when Kate Flynn caught our eye. Oh man, she had the makings of a fairy, and it made each boy all swear there's not one girl in the wide, wide world like the girl from County Clare.
Every man had got the finest man you'd ever see now.
Barring me now.
Every day there's one of them would say that she'll agree now.
You'll see now, all night they big fight as to which of them was right in the colour of her eyes and hair. But not a word from me was ever heard about the darling girl from Clare. I never said a single word about her, but I met the girl that day. I told her I could never live without her, and what had she to say? She said that I might go and see her father, and I met him then and there. And in less than an hour we were fighting for the dower of the darling girl from Clare. Every man had got the finest man you'd ever see now, barring me now. Every day there's one of them would say that she'll agree now, you'll see now. But late last night when the moon was bright, I asked her if she'd share me joy and me sorrow and me gorra, and tomorrow I'll be married to the girl from Clare. Me joy and me sorrow and me gorra, and tomorrow I'll be married to the girl from Clare.
Gorma Gwif St. James's from Lochgorman, agus Anish O Kunta Leitrim, Ochna Sheelan, and the Ochna Sheelan group will sing the Bantry Girls' Lament and the Spanish Lady. So Bula Bus Moor do Ochna Sheelan in Kunta Leitrim.
Oh, who will plough the fields now? Or who will sow the corn? And who will mind the flock now, and keep them neatly shorn? The stark that's in the haggard, unthrashed it may remain, since Johnny went a-thrashing to fight the King of Spain. Oh, the girls from the Bonoak in sorrow may retire, and the piper and his bellows go home and blow the fire. Since Johnny, lovely Johnny, is sailing o'er the main, along with other patriots to fight the King of Spain. And the boys will sorely miss him when money ne'er comes round, and they'll find that their bold captain is nowhere to be found. And peelers must invite them against their will and grain, since the gallant boy who gave them work, now he's the King of Spain. Oh, who will plough the fields now, or who will sow the corn? And who will mind the flock now, and keep them neatly shorn? If cruel fate will not permit our Johnny to return, his heavy loss the Bantry girl will never cease ourselves to our sad lot, and die in grief and pain. Since Johnny died for Ireland's pride in the foreign lands of Spain. Oh, who will plough the fields now, or who will sow the corn? And who will mind the flock now, and keep them neatly shorn? The stag that's in the haggard, unthrashed it may remain, since Johnny went a-thrashing to fight the King of Spain. The stag that's in the haggard, unthrashed it may remain, since Johnny went a-fighting to the foreign lands of Spain.
Nice and lively. Pick them up. Pick them up. Sorry, took it two.
Tooraloora laddie, whack all the tooralay.
As I was walking through Dublin city, about the hour of 12 at night, it was there I saw a fair pretty female washing her feet by candlelight.
First she washed and then she dried them over a fire of ambry coals. And in all my life I never did see a maid so neat about the soles. She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, none. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. Stopped to look, but the watchman paused. See, young fella, now the night is late, and along with you home or I will wrestle you straight away to the bridal gate. Got to look from the Spanish lady, hot as a fire of ambry coals, and in all my life I never did see a maid so neat about the soles. She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, none. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. As I walked back through Dublin city, as the dawn of day was o'er, oh, who should I spy but the Spanish lady when I was weary and footsore? She had a heart so filled with loving, and her love she longed to share. And in all my life I never did meet a maid who had so much to spare. Tooraloo, round and around goes the wheel of fortune. Wear a dress now wearies me. Oh, fair young maids are so deceiving, sad experience teaches me. She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, none. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. Tooraloora laddie, whack all the tooralay.
And just Condera Corlesh on ballad group. Our final group come from Dunhill in Port Lariga in Waterford. And their two songs will be number one, Slán Awalya, and the second song, My Heart's Tonight in Ireland. So Bula Bus Moor, the Dunhill in Port Lariga. Gora Mila Mahagwave.
The sun goes down, the moon is blue. I think they know that I'm missing you, but time will heal this heartfelt pain as soon as I see you again. Slán Awalya, Slán go forward. My heart is breaking without you a store until we meet again. Listen and be thinking, Aaron Gyol Toy Chat, O Mokrishaman. I see an island, you're on the pier. I hear you crying in the misty air.
You look so lonely, there's no one near.
Wish I could hold you, wish you were here. Slán Awalya, Slán go forward. My heart is breaking without you a store until we meet again. Listen and be thinking, Aaron Gyol Toy Chat, O Mokrishaman. Look out your window when you're feeling blue. You'll see a bluebird looking in at you. Lay down your head, let yourself be free. Take in your deepest breath and sing with me. Slán Awalya, Slán gone forward. My heart is breaking without you a store until we meet again. Listen and be thinking, Aaron Gyol Toy Chat, O Mokrishaman. Listen and be thinking, Aaron Gyol Toy Chat, O Mokrishaman. In the town of Scariff, the sun was shining in the sky. When Willie Clancy played his pipes, the tears welled in my eyes. Many years have passed and gone since the times we had there, but my heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet Milltown Abbey. It's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, but nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. That August tinkle rush when the rain was lashing down, and our hotel was that hay barn on the outskirts of town. We were all sick and feverish, and Dolan had the flu, but Johnny produced some whiskey and the sun came smiling through. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet Milltown Abbey. It's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, but nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. Those nights in 6 Mile Bridge when the songs and music flowed, and when it came to closing time, sure the lights were turned down low. And the sergeant from Kilkishen, he would buy us all one more, and we never left that pub before the clock was striking 4. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet Milltown Abbey. It's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, but nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet Milltown Abbey. It's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, but nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. In the days of Sweeney, in the sweet County Clare.